A very good day to you. Welcome to Herman Manyora's YouTube. My name is Jadel Kabir. I'm excited that you're here for our political conversations with Herman Manyora. These conversations, I do hope, will help us build this country. With President William Ruto as the president, how are you?
Fine.
Conversation for today, we get into hacking. I don't know how much you know about IT, but Raila hired IT gurus to do what he terms as ethical hacking. That's how he came to know that these elections were rigged, and actually they were right, despite also the whistleblower thing. So, first of all, what is ethical hacking, and do you believe that Raila can get into the systems? Does he have the approval to do that, get into IBC servers and have his own evidence?
I'm not an expert, but I know hacking is getting into somebody's system without them knowing, without their permission.
The approval, yes.
So most of it will be criminal, of course.
Yeah.
Cybercrime and all those names. But I hear there's one which is ethical. You know, you are doing for good cause, for public good. You know.
But you still need approval, I think, from the law so that you can.
Yeah, but I think it's for public good, and therefore you can. People do that. They don't necessarily have to have permission, but it's for good. Sometimes you can run afoul of the law, even if it's for good.
Yeah.
And Chege comes to mind. So, well, it happens.
Question is, if he did that, don't you think he probably shouldn't have said it in public? Because now question is, why is he out working and he has hacked actually IBC servers, and I don't believe he has gotten any approval from our courts to do so.
Even in 20-something, Itumbi said he had hacked ICC, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, so these things are happening all the time. Maybe perhaps coming from somebody like Raila is a little worrying. But, so if he has it's like if he has it, how he got it may not be important. Because the worst offense is the stealing of the election. Yeah, that's maybe how he argues. What
then is your general view of his rallies now? Calls them Kamukunji to talk to people. What's your general view now moving forward? Because I believe they were in the western part of the country, in Busia, I believe the last one they had. What's your general view? He comes out, says we've hacked, we know we have evidence, but it's as if, look, they're not as powerful as people would have expected, because now it's, I believe, 3 weeks since they started. What's your general view of them?
I think they want to create a general narrative that, first of all, the elections were stolen. And much more importantly, that the people who stole the elections continue to let people suffer. It's like, if those who stole the elections were doing the right thing, maybe they could forgive them. But you have stolen the elections and you proceed to subject Kenyans to misery. Yeah.
Do you think if the strategy is effective as probably if it was put in the right kind of way? Because now we're looking at things going on normally. Actually, it's Raila in an interview with Ramogi that says now he has allowed even governors can go to State House despite them saying they are traitors, the likes of Jalas, who are their members of parliament. Don't you think the strategy isn't working, and that's why Raila is coming out and saying, look, you can still go and talk to the president?
That's why I've been saying, repeatedly so, that the leaders should be careful not to be seen by the people to have abandoned them. Yes. They should not create situations that will leave people thinking there is no hope in their leaders. And by leaders, I'm very careful. I mean both. Raila and Ruto and the rest. If you create the impression among the people that you people can play your games up there, the people will act. So these rallies are good. I mean, they are not good to say I support them, but they are peaceful and they are what they are. But who knows what can happen tomorrow? If you look at what has happened elsewhere in history, the leaders rarely told people spill into the streets.
Yeah. I'm saying
something just happens and the people go into the streets.
Yeah.
In other words, it is not a situation you want to be in, with angry people, hungry, jobless, and in pain. And now being organized into rallies. It's not something you want to play around with, whether you are Raila or Ruto. Because this thing can get out of your hand. What happened in Tunisia? Nobody ever told people, start the Arab Spring. Here is a young boy, a hawker, in the streets, and the kanjo, you know, city askaris.
Yes.
A woman slaps the boy. The boy says, I can't take it anymore. He takes mafuta najimwagia, fuel, and lights himself. And the country was on fire. In other words, So long as the country is on tenterhooks, so long as there's tension in the country, you could find yourself in situations you can't manage. So what intelligent leaders do is to avoid keeping the situation in that kind of state, where the whole country becomes one big flashpoint, where you only need, you look at revolutions in history, only something small happens, the spark, and everything is.
Do you think it's double speak from Raila's side, saying these members of parliament are traitors, and now saying we've talked to governors, they can go?
That's what I'm talking about.
Is
Those
this
are
double
the things.
speak?
You know, you are better. In other words, I want to repeat this. It is important for Raila to remain in charge of his troops. If you send mixed signals, the extent of your being in charge may be doubtful. You could find yourself where you are not in charge of the people. And that's not good for the country. So it's good for Raila to remain in charge of his troops. You cannot remain in charge if you send mixed signals. You are blowing hot and cold at the same time.
What does this say about the Azimio coalition? When you look at these leaders that desperately want to work with Ruto, anytime he calls them, they go to him. They're working on development, as they usually say. What does this mean for these Azimio leaders if Raila is giving them mixed signals?
You see, first of all, to begin with, there's no development you can get from Ruto.
Yes, that we've established.
It's not there.
Yeah.
So even for Raila to say he's giving green light, I saw Wiper. I haven't seen Raila. I've seen Wiper.
Raila said that.
Kalonzo has said governors are free to work with the president. I mean, at what point were they not working with the government? They are a government. Governors and MPs are already government. So which working with the government? There's a structured way of working with government. It does not involve going to State House to parade yourself like sheep on sale. No. MPs, there is nothing like opposition in parliament. All members of parliament are a government. With the one side having the majority, the other side being
the minority. But
they are an institution with specific roles, and all of them are government. Governors are independent. They head independent units called counties. So that we have 48 governments in the country, 48. But the same constitution provides for interdependence and creates avenues of that interdependence. So that the constitution says each level must have respect for the other level. And provides a formal way of interaction, including IBEC. See? And then there's the Council of Governors. So you do not need to crawl to State House and kneel before the president. You do not need to put the red carpet for the president because he has come to Siaya. No. So if Raila and Kalonzo then tell the governors to work with the government for development, it's wrong signal. You send wrong signals. Because you cannot be a governor and not work with the government. How?
I want to talk to me about these Azimio leaders. And I asked you earlier about the general view about this course they are having. If you're sending mixed signals, what does this mean about this course that Raila has? One, to take Ruto out of State House, and two, as he puts it, to fix the economy.
You see, Raila is pushing. And the people are pushing with him. But if he does not mean what he's doing, he does not push with all his energy, pushes and then comes back, and he's at the front. The people will push him and they will hit his head on the wall. And they will fall down. And people will step on him as they push the wall and the house will go down. It's a simple. When these people have not read history, including very recent things like Arab Springs. When Sudan, they have not read. They have not seen on TV.
What do you think?
The moment you push, the leadership is wavering, not undecided. You know, hot and cold.
Breaks.
Who was leading the discussions in Sudan? Were they the leaders? The recent...
No. It was the militia, the people.
And that's what I was giving a talk to Azimio people in Manzone.
They invited you actually?
Yeah.
Ah.
I told them, make up your mind. If you want to push for change, push for it. If you are not ready, then don't start something you are not ready for. Go home. Go home and enjoy your perks. You are well paid.
So for you,
Yes.
you say the cost is most likely, if Raila continues with this mixed signal, it's most likely to go to the people. Now you look at President William Ruto on this other side. He has his leaders, he has his government, says he's working really hard, says they're praying actually about the economy. What are you looking at in this other side? If there's this side that is giving mixed signals and this other side that says ignore them, we're used to them, this is how they usually do things, let's continue with business as
You see, Ruto cannot afford to say, let us ignore this thing. Because I want to repeat so that these guys can hear. If Raila does not stop these rallies now, the thing will assume a life of its own. First, it is dangerous because he may not have control over them after some point. Secondly, you will have found rebellion, the fire, people who had given up on the elections and say, anyway, hii kitu tumeshocha ikae hata tulikuwa na uhuru na tukushinda. You are now inviting them back and charging them. After charging them, then you want to leave them midstream. Now that situation is so risky. The person who had given up and gone home to sleep has now come back. He's expecting justice.
Well, when you say that, you say that really well about history. Look at Tunisia, look at Sudan. But we also look at our own history with Raila Odinga. And I think this is what Ruto is banking on, saying our history with Raila Odinga has always been, when it gets to a point where he's called for a conversation, when it gets to a point where he feels like things are going to take the wrong route, he calms his people and they calm down. And therefore, let's ignore him because his history has always been his people will calm down. Why? Which history should we look at? The one
And
of
that's
Raila
what I'm telling you.
and the international one.
Both of them are wrong.
Why is it different this time round?
Let me give you a little background. When Raila accepted to work with Kibaki, many people were very annoyed. The day Raila walked out of Sagana, the people felt so disappointed. You know, people don't tell leaders. Then came the handshake of 2018. It's me who moves and talks to people. When people are voting for Ruto, border boys at home, they told you, let us down with Raila. They think I'm with him. We cannot listen to you again. It is a testimony of the magic that is Raila that was able to bring those people back. But not in sufficient numbers to make him president. Forget about the rigging. So what am I trying to say? If he as much as to go into handshake, and he knows it, it will be tragic.
My question is,
it will be tragic for him.
Why is it different this time?
So therefore, Raila would ask the
Why is it different this time round that you can tell Ruto, no, this is not the same Raila who has been putting brakes? Why do you say it is different?
There are people who are so pained because of the elections, but they had decided to let go. Now you have woken them up by charging them through these rallies. That's what I'm saying, they must come to an end now. Together with that is the hard economic times. The harsh times people are living through. The pain of being with children at home, of watching loved ones die because you can't take them for treatment, of sleeping hungry, of all these bad things that you cannot ignore, together with a charged crowd. When the leadership lets down the charged crowd, the crowd will take the law under its under. So both Raila, if he's calculating that I do not quite mean this thing, at some point I can out. He can left, as you people say in WhatsApp. He can left. Just like that and walk home whistling. No, it will be too late. First of all, he will not have the capacity to tell people, let's look back. Even the handshake. And you could see during BBI, and not even many people, many of these leaders, including Luo leaders, they were not happy with that handshake. You heard what Orengo said. You heard what Omolo Tendo said. Kata sani, sata sahi. Nobody was happy with the handshake. So you tried this, you are stretching the thing too much now. You'll end your political career a very miserable man. Because people are not happy with the Kibaki thing. They were much less happy with the handshake with Uhuru Kenyatta. And then they are feeling Uhuru Kenyatta betrayed them. And then you want to go into another handshake. Or even just withdraw. These people will not go with you. And they will not leave the streets. The danger of this thing, and I've been telling these people, Raila and Ruto, the danger of this thing is we are like a country. We can equate this country to an overturned fuel tanker carrying petrol, and people are playing around it with cigarettes and things like those. It can go up in flames. These crowds, let me give you very graphically. If Raila calls a rally, say in Uhuru Park, after he has gone around, I doubt he will have the control over the crowds. They will not. They will not want to walk home just the way they came. This is how dangerous it is.
So for someone who says, look, if Raila calls a ceasefire to these rallies and says these rallies are done, these people will most likely hate Raila and go to Ruto. Is that person right?
They are wrong. The people will not go to Ruto.
Because that is
the people will take
assumption.
the law into their own hands. The only way, and I've told these Raila people, is constructive engagement with Ruto. To sit on a table, not about the handshake, to discuss the future of this country. How do we ensure that 2027 we can have elections Kenyans can believe in? That is the conversation Raila must have with Ruto. And to the extent that Ruto cannot willingly come to that table, then what he has started must be managed in such a way he creates sufficient heat to radiate up to State House and make Ruto come to sit down and they talk about the country. But this half, the people will pull that wall down.
So your message for Raila today is to stop the mixed signals.
Yes.
It's not good.
It's not too late to call off the meetings. It's not too late. If you say, I think where we have reached enough, we are seeing there's so much pain, there's so much anger in the country, let's not continue these rallies, we are suspending them, or just say we have suspended them. It's not too late. People just go back. They haven't been fired sufficiently to get mad to do things, but you must stop it now. They said from Busia they were going to Kisii this Friday.
Yeah.
You go to Kisii and from there you announce, we are now suspending these rallies indefinitely. People just go back unless something terrible happens in the country. Unless the government becomes mchokozi excessively, the people just go back. But if you continue with those rallies and continue sending mixed signals, the people will take charge.
Say enough with Raila.
Pardon?
They'll just say it's enough with Raila.
And they'll do things on there, which will not be good for the country.
Good place to wrap up. Thank you so much for tuning in into our conversation. I guess we have to also wait and see how things unfold. We'll always be here to have these conversations to edify and build this country. Have yourself a lovely rest of your day.